Hi, I'm Josh Achman with Park Industries Customer Service Support. On this video, we are going to be dialing the A-axis on the Javelin. So I got us all set up here already. I removed the X-axis bellows, removed them back to give us enough room here. And I also removed the water curtain here on the back side, so that's not getting in our way and we can make sure we get accurate numbers. I also have the screen set up on the pendant screen. So operation, then the pendant screen, and I also have the arbor disable on so that we can operate the pendant here. Now to start up with the dial, I drew a dot on the blade, just a black dot that we're always going to reference off of that dot on the blade. I have the dial indicator extended to its maximum reach point. Also pay attention to this part of the dial here. If this bracket here is flipped the other way, then our dial will be about an inch lower. So make sure that is facing up to get our maximum reach out of here. I also do have two white plates at the bottom here that is giving us a little over an inch more of height here so that we can reach a little higher. You can, if you want, try to go off of the side here or not using a plate, but it might not be quite as accurate. So if you do have them, I'd suggest using that. So to start out with then, we're just gonna put our dial here, or our dot right underneath our dial. We're gonna zero out our dial indicator. So we're at 0 on the big gauge, and I'm also gonna take a mental note of the small gauge that it is at 2. Now, when you zero this out, also verify that on the screen, your A-axis is zeroed out and your C-axis is zeroed out. And your column, your axis 1, is also at 0. We have the X-axis driven all the way to the negative side, and we do have our Y-axis all the way out as far as we can on the machine here. Just gonna take my pendant now that I'm zeroed out, and I'm going to slowly drive down. Now make sure that your dial also clears the arbor flange. If we bump that arbor flange, then we'll have to do a reset up so we're just to the side of that arbor flange. I'm gonna lower that down here and give my blade a slight rotation without pulling on it too much to affect my dial, and bring that black dot right above it and drive right into that dot. Right there is where I was set up. And now you can see my dial, I'm at about a -3. My small dial is still on the 2, and my large dial is at about -3. Now we're not gonna zero that out there. What we're gonna do is just jot that number down, and we're going to turn our C-axis 180 degrees so our blade's on the opposite side, and then I'm gonna take a note of what that dial is at, or what number that is at for the A-axis there. We'll do the same thing, but with the C-axis at 180. Okay, now we spun our C-axis 180 degrees. We're facing the opposite direction now. We set up our plates. I did here use one extra plate just to bridge the gap over that high pressure line there. I have my dial indicator set up. I never changed anything with the dial part of it, just all fully extended yet. And right now I am sitting right on that black dot. My Z-axis is all the way up, and I'm right on that black dot there. So I also zeroed out the dial indicator. My small gauge is at number 2. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna just drive our Z-axis down. I'm gonna spin my blade and my dial indicator. You guys can take a look. Looks like it's at +6. So when my C-axis was at 0, I was at a -3, and right now I'm at a +6. So you will get a plus and minus variation there. What we want is that plus and that minus number to be the same. So right now, if I drive my A-axis so that that dial will read a +4.5, then we should be able to zero out, and then I should gain that also on the other side. So what we're gonna do here is move to our A-axis on 1 thou increment jog. We're gonna put that at about 4.5. So we are gonna fine tune ours in. Our tolerance is 3 thou. So we are only 1.5 thou out. We are technically in tolerance here, but we wanna show you exactly what you would do if your numbers were bigger or larger here. So we're at 4.5. Now we're gonna go to our screen and we're gonna capture the reference point of the A axis. So it zeroes it out, and then we'll come back here and we will double check to see what our numbers are, and then we'll swing around and double check those numbers again. Okay, so now that we're back at our screen, first thing we're gonna do is enable the operation there, otherwise it will not capture. Then we're gonna come to our setup and our access homing screen. And if you don't have access to this, make sure you're signed into the credentials that you need to be able to access this here. So on the A axis here, we can see over here, we're at a negative 42 thousandths. So we're just gonna capture the A axis. We'll hit yes to proceed. It's just acknowledging, making sure you wanna do it. And now we need to cycle power to the machine. So you can see we are not verified here. We're gonna cycle power to the machine to make sure everything takes, and then we'll power up and then we'll be able to verify it. So we'll turn it off for 1 good minute, if not 2. If you can give it a couple minutes, that usually works better. Okay, now that we powered down for a minute or 2 here, we got everything loaded again. I turned the system on. You will notice your alarms right away that they're not safely referenced. So if we just go out, we'll log in here quick so we don't forget. And then we're gonna come to our setup screen, our access homing. So we can see we're really close to 0. We are 1 thou off, but you will get a little bit of drift there. We can just select to verify. That will check mark the box, and then our alarm is gone there. We verified that that's where the access is. So now we're going to, I'll put it back on the pendant screen here, and we are gonna go double check our access again. When we're at 180, we'll see what we're at, and then we'll rotate back around to 0 and see what we get. And we should have very close to the same number, just either a plus or a minus on that. Okay, so now that we're back over here, we captured reference on the A axis here. I do have it all set up again. On my dot, Z axis is all the way up. Small dial's on 2, and I'm back at 0. So we're just gonna drive down and then spin our blade to get back on our dot. Okay, so you can see on the dial indicator, my small dial is on the 2, and I'm at 5 thou. So we were at 6, just over 6 thou before. So we only moved about 1/1000th of an inch here. We didn't want to move too much here. We were within tolerance already, but that's what we're gonna take for our number right now, and jot that down that we have a positive 5 thousandths, and we're gonna swing our C axis back to 0 and check the other side to see what we have. And we should have very close to a negative 5 thou. So it'll be the opposite of what this side would be. Okay, we're all set up here now with our C axis at 0, and our A axis is still at 0. So we're gonna double check this side. On the opposite side, when we were at 180, we ended with a positive 5 thou. Here, we're all set up here now. So small dial's on 2, large dial is at 0. We're gonna just come down in my blade here. I'll back up so the camera can see. Our small dial is still at 2. Our large dial is at a negative 5 thou. So we are perfect right here. We have the same number, 5 thousandths. On one side we have a positive, and the other side we have a negative. So at 180 we have a positive, at 0 we have a negative. That's exactly what we're looking for here. So we're captured and everything in the right spot. Our A axis is at 0 right now. If you're not, if you ended up doing some adjustments, make sure you capture your reference point, cycle power, and then make sure you verify your A axis when you bring it back up. As always, if you have any questions with the process, just let our customer service department know, and we'd be glad to help. Thank you.